In the endless silence of space, Earth floated quietly under a blanket of stars. The moon, cold and still, had no sound, no life. But on this night, something changed. A small red light blinked deep inside one of the forgotten craters. Dust moved slightly. A soft hum began, growing louder every second. Inside a hidden underground chamber, a machine that had slept for centuries came to life. The red light became blue, then green. Then it began sending a signal, an old forgotten code from a time when Earth fought for survival. On Earth, thousands of miles away, in a control room full of blinking monitors and humming screens, a young technician sat alone. His coffee was cold, and he was half asleep, bored like every other night. But suddenly, one of his monitors flashed red. Then again. The message was strange. He looked closer. Signal received. Project Sentinel. Status. Active. He didn't know what it meant. The words didn't make sense. That name had not appeared in any files for hundreds of years. He called his supervisor, who didn't believe him at first. But the signal was real. And it was getting stronger. Within an hour, the highest levels of Earth's space defense were called. Old generals, scientists, and intelligence officers came together in confusion. No one had seen this code before, not in their lifetime. But a few older members recognized it. Their faces went pale. One of them whispered, "It's him. He's waking up." Far above them, on the moon's dark side, the chamber doors began to shift. Dust fell from the ceiling as ancient metal moved for the first time in centuries. The air inside was cold and still, untouched by time. In the center of the room stood a large pod, shaped like a coffin, with glowing lines across its surface. It hissed, releasing steam. Lights flickered across its sides. A deep sound vibrated the floor. Inside the pod, a man lay perfectly still. His skin looked pale, his face calm. Tubes and wires connected to his body. But suddenly, his fingers moved. Then his eyes twitched. He opened them. They were not normal eyes. They glowed faint blue, like the stars. His breathing became steady. His body, part human, part machine, had survived over 500 years of sleep. His name had been forgotten, erased from history. But now he was awake, and something deep in space had felt it. He sat up slowly, muscles aching, memory unclear. His voice was rough, unused. "Status, report," he whispered, but no one answered. The machines around him blinked, scanning his body. He stood, taller than most men, stronger than before. His armor, still shining under the dust, hummed with ancient power. This was not just a man. This was Earth's first and last line of defense. The Defender, the Sentinel, created long ago during the darkest war mankind ever faced. 500 years ago, Earth fought a war not many people remembered now. The enemy came from far beyond the stars, beings that harvested planets like crops. Earth stood no chance. Millions died. Cities burned. But in secret, a team of scientists and engineers created a soldier unlike any before, a hybrid of man and machine, built to survive in space, to fight across galaxies, and to protect Earth no matter what. His name was Commander Kale. He led the final battle that pushed the enemy back. But victory came at a price. He was too damaged to continue, so they put him in stasis, deep beneath the moon, where he would sleep until Earth needed him again. Now he was awake. Kale stepped out of the pod, looking around. The chamber lights flickered. Dust floated in the air. He moved toward a control panel, placing his hand on it. The system responded instantly. Screens turned on, showing Earth, the solar system, and beyond. But something was wrong. There was movement at the edge of the system. Unknown objects slowly drifting closer to Earth. They were not human, not friendly. Kale frowned. He didn't need to speak to know what it meant. The enemy had returned. Back on Earth, the Space Defense Council argued inside a hidden facility. Some believed the signal was a glitch. Others said it was dangerous. Whatever had been sleeping under the moon should stay that way. One woman, General Amina Royce, stood up firmly. "This man saved us once. He was Earth's last hope. If he's awake now, it means we're in danger again. We need to find him before it's too late." While Earth debated, Cale began repairs on his suit and weapons. His armor connected with the old satellite system, giving him access to modern networks. He watched news reports, learned how Earth had changed. People lived peacefully now. Technology had grown, but they had forgotten the war, the enemy, the cost of peace. Cale wondered if they were ready for what was coming. In space, far from Earth, something else stirred. A massive ship, black and silent, floated beyond Pluto. Its surface moved like liquid metal. Inside, creatures with long limbs and glowing eyes stared at a screen. They had felt the pulse, the defenders awakening. One of them hissed, "The human weapon lives. Begin the harvest." Smaller ships broke away from the mothership, moving toward the inner system. Their shapes shifted like shadows, invisible to most sensors, but Cale could see them. He uploaded warnings to Earth's network, but they were blocked. Firewalls, security checks. Humans had become so used to peace, they didn't believe in war anymore. Frustrated, Cale decided to act alone. He launched from the moon, using old thrusters hidden under the base. As he approached Earth's orbit, he saw it, one of the alien scout ships, cloaked and moving toward a satellite. Cale activated his weapons. With a flash of blue energy, he fired. The ship exploded, its wreckage burning in space. For a moment, Earth noticed. Telescopes caught the light. Radar picked up the shockwave. But they didn't know what it was. A few scientists guessed it was a meteor. Others suspected military testing. No one knew the truth, that war had already begun. Cale floated silently, watching the stars. He knew this was only the beginning. More ships were coming. Earth didn't understand the danger. He had fought these things before. He had seen what they did to planets, to people. He couldn't let it happen again. Even if the world didn't remember him, even if no one believed him, he would fight. Down on Earth, General Royce received a strange signal on her private channel. It was old from the time of the war. Only one person could use that code. Her eyes widened. "Cale," she whispered. She stood from her desk, heart pounding. She knew what this meant. Earth's defender had returned, and something terrible was coming with him. The sky above Earth was peaceful, calm, blue. Children played in the parks. Cars moved through busy streets. Planes flew across white clouds. But far above all this peace, something dangerous moved through space, fast, silent, and deadly. The people below had no idea. They believed Earth was safe, but Cale knew better. He floated just outside Earth's orbit, scanning the sky. His body was still adjusting after centuries of deep sleep. Pain moved through his bones and muscles, but his mind was sharp. His armor, old but strong, connected to satellite systems. Warnings flashed on his visor. Alien signals were growing. They were not coming. They were already here. Cale watched one of the signals disappear near Earth's upper atmosphere. It didn't crash. It vanished, cloaked, invisible. A scout. That meant more were nearby. That meant the harvest had already begun. He turned his eyes toward Earth. So much had changed. Cities had grown taller, lights brighter, but the people, they looked the same. Alive, hopeful. They didn't know their world was under threat. Again, Cale activated his old communication channel. His voice was calm, but serious. Earth Command. This is Commander Cale, Project Sentinel. I repeat, this is Sentinel. Alien activity confirmed. Threat level, extinction. No reply. He tried again. Nothing. His signal was blocked. On Earth, inside a large government building hidden deep under the mountains, a group of powerful people stared at the same incoming data. The alien signals. The destroyed satellite. And now, a voice. One man in a suit frowned. This can't be real. Commander Kale died 500 years ago. General Amina Royce stood at the edge of the room, arms crossed. She remembered the old stories. Her grandfather had served in the last war. He told her about Kal, about the battles, the final sacrifice. She believed. She stepped forward. "We buried the truth," she said. "But that doesn't mean it stayed dead." The room fell silent. Meanwhile, high above, Kale moved toward Earth's defense grid, a satellite system meant to protect the planet from large-scale attacks. But as he got closer, warning systems activated. Earth's defenses locked onto him. He sighed. Of course. He didn't want to fight humans, but he couldn't allow them to slow him down. His suit released a pulse, a friendly signal, ancient code. The system hesitated, then paused. The guns didn't fire. Earth defense was confused. It didn't recognize him as a threat or an ally. Kale passed safely. Down below, in a military hangar, fighter pilot Ilara Voss prepared for a launch. She had been called suddenly, ordered to intercept an unknown hostile object, moving through Earth's orbit. Her ship was fast, modern, sharp. She'd flown hundreds of missions, but this one felt different. As she took off, her voice came through the radio. "Command, target in sight. Humanoid shape. What am I looking at?" "Approach with caution," said the voice. "Do not engage unless fired upon." Kale saw her coming. Her ship was sleek, shining silver. He scanned it quickly. Human tech, but armed. Fast. Ilara circled him. "Identify yourself." He turned slowly, allowing her to see him clearly. "I am Kale, Project Sentinel, Defender of Earth." She blinked, confused. "You're a legend." "No," Kale said. "I'm a soldier." Suddenly, a warning flashed on Kal's visor. Another signal. Closer now. Alien. Moving fast. He turned toward it. A cloaked enemy ship broke through the sky, heading straight for Earth's communication satellite. Without thinking, Kale boosted forward, drawing his weapon. Energy glowed at his wrist. He fired once, clean, precise. The enemy ship exploded into dust. Ilara gasped. "What was that?" "Your enemy," Kale said. "And it won't be the last." Back at base, General Royce received the footage. The alien ship, the explosion, and Kale floating in the center. She turned to the council. "Still think he's dead?" They gave her silence. Later that night, Kale stood on a small observation deck of an abandoned orbital station. Earth glowed below him, blue, beautiful, fragile. He watched it in silence, remembering the past. He remembered standing on the battlefield 500 years ago, covered in fire and blood. He remembered the screams, the chaos, the sound of the enemy tearing through cities. He remembered his team, good people, now long gone. He remembered the moment he chose to be put to sleep. They told him Earth would be safe, that it was over. They were wrong. Ilara joined him on the deck. She wasn't sure why she came, but something about him felt real. Familiar, not human, but not a monster either. "You're not just a machine, are you?" she asked. He shook his head. "I was once human. Then war changed me. Why didn't they wake you sooner?" "They forgot me," Kale said quietly. "Or maybe they wanted to." Ilara looked at the stars. "What do they want? The aliens?" Kale's eyes narrowed. "They want life. Resources. Planets. They grow things inside worlds. Seeds. Machines. If we don't stop them early, Earth will become one of them." "Then we stop them," she said. Kale turned to her. "Will Earth listen?" Ilara didn't answer. The next morning, Kale sent a direct message to General Royce, using a backdoor code only someone from the original war would know. It reached her personal system. She opened it, heart racing. "General Royce, this is Kale. Earth is not safe. I have returned. I need your help. She stared at the screen. Her hands trembled. She typed one word. Where? Kale sent coordinates. A meeting was arranged. In the shadows of a silent mountain base, Kale stood once again on Earth soil. His feet touched the ground slowly, like it was sacred. He looked at the trees, the wind, the sky. It felt unreal. General Royce met him with a team of guards, but she ordered them to lower their weapons. He removed his helmet. She saw his face. Tired. Strong. Human. Welcome home, she said. He looked at her carefully. It's not home yet. They walked together, speaking in low voices. She explained how Earth had changed, how governments had covered up the war, rewritten history, how the new generation didn't believe in threats from the stars. Kale nodded. They will believe. Soon. She took him inside. On a hidden screen, they watched new data. More alien signals. Ships appearing near Mars. Some near Jupiter. They were spreading like a web, slowly surrounding Earth. They're preparing, Kale said. The real attack hasn't started yet. Then what do we do? Kale looked at the map, then at Royce. We find the seed. If it's already planted inside Earth, we don't have time. Royce's eyes went wide. Inside Earth. Kale nodded. That's how they do it. From the inside out. Ilara, listening from the corner, stepped forward. Then let's find it. Kale gave a small smile. For the first time since waking, he wasn't alone. But far beyond the stars, the enemy had noticed. Inside the dark mothership, a glowing creature moved toward a large screen. On it, Kale's image played. The creature spoke in a voice like metal scraping glass. He lives, the weapon of Earth. Another answered. Then we must finish what we started. In the shadows, a new hunter was awakened. And Earth had no idea what was coming next. Far above Earth, the sky looked calm. But in the silence of space, something terrible had begun. Invisible to the naked eye, ships moved like ghosts, slipping through orbits, scanning the planet, watching. They were not big, not loud. They didn't need to be. Their mission was not war. Not yet. Their mission was to prepare, to find the weak points, to plant the seed. Kale stood on a high platform inside Earth's hidden defense base, watching a live feed from satellites. Strange shadows flickered across the screens, too fast for human eyes to track. But Kale wasn't fully human. His sensors caught what others missed. They're here, he said. In orbit. Close. Very close. General Royce stood beside him, arms crossed. She stared at the screen, then at Kale. Why can't we see them? They've evolved, Kale replied. When I fought them 500 years ago, they were brutal but easy to spot. Now they've changed, adapted. They hide in the dark. They use light against us. These aren't just scouts. They're engineers. Engineers, Royce asked. They build from within, Kale said. They don't attack cities. They attack systems. Power. Communication. Trust. They destroy a world without firing a shot. Behind them, Ilara stepped into the room, holding a tablet. We found something, she said. An object, in low orbit. Not ours. Not natural. And it's moving. Kale took the tablet. His eyes scanned the data. A chill went through him. It's a probe, he said. Alien tech. Harvest class. Royce frowned. What does that mean? It means, Kale said, they've already started collecting information. Earth is already under examination. Without waiting, Kale suited up and launched back into orbit, with Ilara flying beside him. Their mission was simple: intercept the probe and bring it back for study. But nothing with these aliens was ever simple. As they approached the object, Kale slowed down. His sensors beeped. The probe looked like a black sphere, floating calmly, almost lifeless. But Kale knew better. Don't touch it, he warned. Ilara circled it carefully. It's not moving. It's listening, Kale said. He pulled out a containment device, activated a field around the probe, and secured it. The moment the field touched the probe, it pulsed once, bright red, then went dead. Cale stared at it, then said one word: "They know." Back at the base, the probe was placed in a secure lab. Scientists gathered, but none could understand the material. It wasn't metal. It wasn't stone. It was alive. Cale stood in front of it, silent. Royce entered the lab, looking tired. "You were right," she said. "It's not just a machine." "No," Cale replied. "It's a seed." The scientists paused. Cale explained. "This is how they begin. They plant these across the planet. In the air, in water, under the ground. The probes connect to each other. They grow into a network, like roots. Then they awaken the core." Royce's face went pale. "How many of these are there?" "We don't know yet," Ilara said. "But if this one is active, others may already be buried." Cale nodded. "We have to find them. Fast." But before they could begin, an alarm blared across the base. Red lights flashed. A voice echoed. "Breach in orbit. Multiple signatures incoming." Cale and Ilara rushed to the command center. On the screens, several unidentified ships had appeared, moving fast toward Earth. They were too small to be full warships, but fast enough to be deadly. "Interceptors," Cale said. "They're testing our defenses." Royce gave the order. "Scramble fighters. Get them out of our skies." Cale launched again, this time not to recover, but to fight. He met the alien ships above the clouds. They moved like shadows. No engines, no noise, just pure dark speed. Cale's targeting system had trouble locking on, but he had fought them before. He knew their patterns. With a sharp move, he dove between two ships, blasted one, then spun toward the next. Ilara flew support, chasing one of the ships down toward the upper atmosphere. Her heart pounded. The alien ship twisted unnaturally, shifting shape mid-flight. She fired, missed, then fired again. Direct hit. It exploded, but instead of debris, a dark mist filled the air. "What is that?" she asked. Cale replied, "They don't leave wreckage. They leave data. That mist is scanning everything." They returned to base. The data was bad. Earth's defense systems had failed to stop two of the ships. They escaped. Cale knew where they were going. Underground. The aliens didn't fight above. They fought below. Quietly. Hidden. Later that night, Cale stood alone in the base's war room. Maps glowed on the table. Satellite scans, strange energy readings, signal spikes across the planet. The pattern was forming. It was like watching cancer spread through a body. Quiet. Deadly. Royce entered the room. "You look like a ghost," she said. Cale didn't smile. "Maybe I am. A ghost of the old world." She walked over, serious now. "Do you think we can win?" He looked at her. "Only if we stop them before the core wakes." Royce sat beside him. "What happens if it does?" Cale's voice went quiet. "Earth becomes something else. Not dead, not alive, just hollow." The next day, they began a global search, scanning for signals, hunting for hidden probes. Governments argued. Some didn't believe. Others said Cale was lying. A few called it a hoax. But while they debated, the enemy moved faster. In the deep forests of South America, a farmer reported strange lights underground. In the Sahara, a power station shut down after finding black roots inside the walls. In the Pacific Ocean, something large moved under the waves, silent and massive. Cale, Ilara, and Royce connected the clues. The probes were spreading. And in the center of the map was Earth's core. "They're heading underground," Cale said. "They're building something under us." "But what?" Ilara asked. Cale stared at the data. "A star." Royce blinked. "A star." Cale nodded. "A black star. That's what they leave behind. A hollow, dead sun, pulsing with life they've stolen. The planets become fuel. The people, gone. Royce whispered, "How do we stop that?" Kale turned to her. "We go in, deep, below the earth, find the main route, and kill it." Royce looked at Ilara. "You're our best pilot. Can you handle it?" Ilara gave a confident smile. "You keep us alive. I'll get us there." As they prepared for the mission underground, far away in the cold void of space, the alien mothership opened like a blooming flower. Inside, something ancient stretched and breathed. Its eyes opened, glowing with knowledge, with hunger. It had a name, and it had just noticed Kale. In a voice that echoed across time and space, it whispered, "The weapon remembers, so shall we." Deep beneath the Earth's surface, the air was thick and heavy, pressing down on everything like a warning. Kale stood at the entrance of a vast underground facility, the kind of place where even light felt like it had no place to go. His armor hummed with ancient power, and his eyes glowed a pale blue. The walls of this place had been built long ago, a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers that went deeper than anyone had ever dared to go. But now it was their only option. Behind him, Ilara checked the controls on her ship, the engines ready to carry them down into the heart of the Earth. Royce, too, stood by, holding a tablet with the map of the underground network they would be entering. The mission was clear: find the alien root system, the source of the threat, and destroy it. But Kale knew it wouldn't be simple. The deeper they went, the more the feeling of being watched grew. He could feel the weight of centuries pressing against him, but he had to push forward. "Ready?" Kale asked, looking back at the two of them. Ilara gave a firm nod. "We're ready." Royce didn't answer immediately. She looked at the black abyss ahead of them, then back at Kale. "Are you sure you can destroy it?" she asked, her voice soft but filled with doubt. Kale's face hardened. "I have no choice." Without saying more, he stepped into the dark tunnel, his boots clicking against the stone floor. Ilara and Royce followed, and the ship hovered just above them, ready to descend into the endless maze. As they moved deeper into the Earth, the atmosphere seemed to grow thicker. It wasn't just the weight of the Earth pressing in around them. It was something else, something unnatural. A strange hum filled the air. It wasn't coming from Kale's armor or the ship. It was something that vibrated from the ground itself. They reached an old elevator shaft. The walls were old, cracked, and worn with age, but Kale knew this place. It had once been a hub of activity, filled with people working on research and technologies. But now it was empty, silent, and forgotten. Kale stepped into the elevator, and it creaked to life. Slowly, they descended, the lights flickering as they moved deeper into the Earth. The hum grew louder, more insistent, and Kale's eyes narrowed. The root system was close. Too close. When the elevator doors finally opened, they found themselves in a cavernous chamber. It was vast, larger than any building Kale had ever seen. The ceiling was lost in the shadows, and the walls were covered in strange, alien symbols that pulsed faintly, as though alive. At the center of the chamber stood a large, dark structure. It resembled a twisted tree. Its trunk was thick, made of a black, metallic substance that stretched high into the shadows above. From its base, tendrils spread out in every direction, burrowing into the walls, into the very rock of the Earth. It was as though the tree was feeding on the planet itself, and everything in this room was connected to it. "Is that it?" Ilara asked, her voice trembling. Kale didn't answer. He was staring at the structure, his eyes scanning it, calculating. He could feel its power. This was the core, the heart of the alien presence on Earth. It had taken root long ago, and now it was growing, preparing for something much larger. Royce stepped forward, her eyes wide. "What do we do now?" Kale looked at her, his expression unreadable. "We destroy it." Before they could move, a sound echoed through the chamber, a low, metallic groan, like the Earth itself was shifting. The roots began to move, slowly at first, then faster, growing, twisting. Cal's sensors began to pick up hundreds, thousands of signals, all coming from the roots, from the walls, from the air. "They know we're here," Cal said, his voice tight. Suddenly, the air seemed to twist, and from the darkness above them, figures dropped down. Tall, shadowy forms that seemed to shimmer in and out of focus. They were humanoid in shape, but had an unnatural, otherworldly quality to them. Thin, skeletal bodies with glowing eyes. They were not quite alive, not quite machines. Cal didn't hesitate. He drew his weapon, a glowing blade that hummed with energy, and charged forward, cutting through the first of the creatures. But more appeared, faster than he could react. Ilara raised her gun, firing shots at the incoming figures. Each shot seemed to take down a creature, but for every one they destroyed, 2 more appeared in its place. "Cal," Ilara shouted, "we need to get to the core. We can't fight them all." "I know," Cal snapped, slashing at another creature, his blade flashing through the air. "Get to the center. I'll hold them off." Ilara and Royce didn't hesitate. They ran toward the base of the alien structure, dodging the creatures as Cal took the brunt of the attack. He fought with precision, his movements sharp and controlled, but the creatures were relentless. Ilara reached the center first, her heart pounding as she looked around for any weakness in the core. It wasn't just a tree. It was a machine, a living weapon. She saw the tendrils feeding into the walls, and she realized that this wasn't just about destroying a device. It was about stopping a process, a countdown. "They're using the planet itself to power the core," Ilara said, her voice low but urgent. "If we don't shut it down now, Earth will be destroyed from the inside out." Cal was still fighting, holding off the creatures with all his strength. He was beginning to feel the strain. These weren't just mindless drones. They were intelligent, programmed to protect the core at all costs. He needed to finish this quickly. Royce reached Ilara's side, looking up at the twisted structure. "How do we destroy it?" Ilara quickly scanned the base of the core, her fingers flying across the tablet. "I need to overload the energy system. We'll have to use the same power source it's using to feed itself. It's risky, but it's the only way." "We don't have time," Cal called out as he slashed through another creature. Ilara nodded. "It's now or never. Start the sequence." Royce pressed a button on the panel next to her, and suddenly, the entire chamber began to shake. The core roared to life, its roots pulsing with energy. The dark figures that had been attacking Cal stopped for a moment, turning toward the core, as though sensing the danger. Cal saw it too. He knew they had just activated a countdown. The core would either collapse or explode, and everything in the chamber would be caught in the blast. "Get out of here," Cal yelled. "Now." The 3 of them turned and ran, Ilara's ship waiting above. The roots began to twist and churn, trying to fight against the shutdown. Cal pushed himself harder, but the creatures were closing in. He could feel the heat of the core's energy building behind him. They reached the elevator just as the entire structure began to collapse. The roots pulled violently from the walls, cracking and breaking as the energy from the core erupted in a blinding flash. Cal grabbed Ilara and Royce, pushing them into the elevator. "Go. Go now." The elevator shot upward, the walls shaking with every explosion behind them. They didn't stop until they reached the surface. As the dust settled, they looked back at the mountain where the facility had stood. The sky above was calm. Too calm. The air was still. Cal, Ilara, and Royce stood together, silent. "We've stopped it for now," Cal said, his voice low. But in the distance, a flicker of light in the sky caught their attention. A ship, one of the alien ships, slowly descended. "They know we're alive," Cal said, "and they'll be back." The ship hovered over the charred remains of the underground base, a faint plume of smoke rising from the ruins below. Cal stood at the ship's window, his face hard, his mind racing. The alien mothership was out there somewhere. He could feel its presence, like a distant thunderstorm waiting to strike. Any sign of it? Hilara's voice broke through his thoughts, sharp and focused. Cale shook his head. Not yet. But it's coming. They always do. Royce, standing beside them, watched the horizon. We've seen what they can do. The question is, do we have anything left to fight with? Cale didn't answer immediately. He turned away from the window and looked at the small team gathered in the ship's command room. Scientists and engineers, all of them working around the clock to understand what they'd faced and how they could stop it. The core had been destroyed, but that wasn't enough. The aliens had been planning for centuries, and they didn't just want Earth, they wanted everything. We have one shot, Cale said finally, his voice low, but unwavering. We're not just fighting them. We're fighting the beginning of a new era, a takeover. If we fail, it won't just be Earth. It'll be every planet in this galaxy. Ilara clenched her fists. Then we make sure we don't fail. Royce nodded, her expression hardening. What do you need us to do? Cale turned toward the map projected on the screen. There's only one place we can make a stand. The heart of the Earth. The planet's core. Its center. If we can destroy the mothership before it can land, we stop the spread. We stop the war. How do we get there? Royce asked. The whole damn planet will be after us. We go through the tunnels, Cale said, tapping a series of coordinates on the map. We can use the old system of underground networks. They're far enough from the surface that the alien sensors won't be able to track us. But we'll need to move fast. And then? Ilara asked. Then we face them head-on, Cale replied, his tone serious. And we make sure we win. The journey underground was long and dangerous. The deeper they went, the darker it became. The tunnels felt endless, a twisted maze that had once been a marvel of human engineering, now a forgotten ghost of the past. They encountered nothing for hours, no alien drones, no strange creatures lurking in the shadows. But Cale knew better than to let his guard down. The aliens were watching, waiting. They always were. As they neared the center of the planet, the ground beneath them trembled. The air grew thick, charged with an unnatural energy. And then they saw it. A massive chamber stretched before them, glowing with an eerie, otherworldly light. At the center stood the alien mothership, a massive organic structure that pulsated with energy. It was alive, its surface rippling and shifting, as though it was breathing. This is it, Cale said, his voice grim. We don't have much time. We need to disable it. Now. They moved quickly, positioning explosives around the mothership's roots. Cale could feel the vibration in the air, an overwhelming force of alien power surging through the chamber. The atmosphere felt alive with malice. The final fight was about to begin. Suddenly, a low hum filled the room. The walls of the chamber seemed to close in, and from the shadows emerged the alien leaders. Tall, insectoid creatures with glowing eyes. Their bodies were sleek and powerful, and their movements were fluid, almost predatory. Ilara, Royce now, Cale shouted, raising his weapon. The battle erupted. Ilara fired first, her shots hitting their mark with precision. Royce followed, moving swiftly and carefully, her blasters cutting through the air. Cale dove into the fray, his glowing blade flashing as he cut through the alien forces. But for every one they took down, another appeared in its place. They're not stopping. Royce yelled as another alien leader charged toward her. Cale pushed forward, slashing through enemies, his mind laser-focused. He had to keep moving, had to destroy the core before it was too late. He reached the base of the mothership, where the roots dug deep into the ground. We need to destroy the heart, Cale shouted as he began to slice through the roots with his blade. The alien leaders surrounded him, their glowing eyes narrowing as they advanced. Cale's heart pounded in his chest. He had no choice now. He had to destroy the heart of the mothership, or Earth would fall. "Elara," Kale shouted. "Do it. Now." Elara, her face set with determination, activated the detonator. A loud crack echoed through the chamber as the explosives detonated, sending shockwaves through the ground. But the aliens weren't done yet. They had one last trick. A deep, guttural roar echoed from the mothership. The ground trembled as the ship's core activated, a massive burst of energy surging outward. The force of the blast sent Kale and the others flying backward, their bodies crashing into the walls of the chamber. For a moment, everything went black. Kale slowly opened his eyes. His head was pounding, his vision blurry. He could barely move, but he could feel it. Something was wrong. The ship's core was still alive, its energy still pulsing. "Elara," Kale called out, his voice strained. There was no answer. He forced himself to his feet, his hands trembling as he reached for his weapon. The room was a war zone. Fire and smoke filled the air, and in the center of it all, the alien mothership loomed, its roots pulsing with energy. Kale stumbled toward it, his strength faltering. He had to finish this. He had to end it all. The final battle was here. With one last surge of strength, Kale leaped forward, slicing through the last of the alien forces in his path. He reached the base of the mothership, his glowing blade sinking into the heart of the ship. The energy surged around him, crackling with power. "No," a voice hissed from behind him. Kale turned, but it was too late. The alien leader was upon him, its claws reaching for his throat. In that final moment, Kale knew he had one last choice. He activated the core in his armor, unleashing every ounce of energy he had left. The ship exploded in a blinding flash, and Kale was thrown back, his body consumed by the blast. When the dust settled, the battlefield was silent. The sky above Earth cleared, the sun rising over a planet forever changed. The alien mothership was gone. The alien forces had been destroyed. Kale had given everything. But in the end, Earth was safe. Elara and Royce stood together on the surface, staring at the sky. They didn't speak for a long time. There was nothing left to say. Kale was gone, but Earth would never forget him.